Her mother's hands shook. I don't understand. How could my son? Lena cut her off, her voice breaking but fierce. Because I was never your son. Not really. I tried, Mom. I tried so hard to be who you wanted, but that wasn't me. This is me. If you love me, really love me, then you'll see Lena standing here, not Danny. Tears blurred her vision. But if you can't, then maybe I was never yours to begin with. Her mother's lips trembled. She looked at Lena, really looked this time. The way her eyes had softened, the trembling in her hands, the desperate truth in her voice. A sob tore free. She reached forward, cupping Lena's cheek with shaking fingers. Lena, she whispered. My daughter? The puzzle box flared once, then fell silent. Lena broke, sobbing into her mother's arms, as Sophie exhaled a long, trembling breath of relief. But in the back of Lena's mind, one truth lingered. The box hadn't vanished. It hadn't released her. It had only gone quiet. Which meant the trials weren't over. For days after her mother's tearful acceptance, Lena felt lighter. Saying her name in front of family had been the hardest test yet, but with her mother's arms around her, for the first time she believed she could survive this. But the box never let her forget. Peace was only temporary. It rattled again the following week, louder than before. Sophie eyed it warily. I don't like that sound. It's like it's getting impatient. Lena unfolded the new parchment that slid out. Her stomach dropped as she read aloud. The world does not forget. To live as Lena, you must bury Danny. That message echoed in her head when she returned to her bookstore job. The moment she stepped through the doors, old coworkers greeted her warmly, none recognizing her as Danny. But then she spotted the employee roster pinned to the wall. There, in bold black ink, was the name she thought she'd left behind, Daniel Rivers. Her chest tightened. How long until someone connected the dots? That night, she told Sophie, voice trembling, it's not enough to just exist as Lena. The world still has Danny written everywhere. In files. In records. In people's memories. If I don't erase him, the box won't let me stay. Sophie chewed her lip. Okay, so what's step one of burying Danny? A fake obituary? Hacking government records? Because, I'm good at research but not that good. Lena managed a shaky laugh. Not literally bury him. I think it means I have to step into Lena completely. Make her official. Public. Irrefutable. Sophie's grin turned mischievous. Then I've got an idea. A week later, Lena found herself trembling backstage at a local poetry night Sophie had signed her up for. She wanted to bolt, but Sophie's firm hands on her shoulders kept her grounded. You wanted to bury Danny? This is it. No hiding, no hoodies. You stand up there, introduce yourself as Lena, and let the world hear your voice. Lena's knees shook as her name was called. She walked onto the stage, the microphone looming like a trial by fire. Faces stared back, strangers, neighbors, maybe even people who'd once known Danny. Her voice caught it first. Then she closed her eyes, clutched the edges of the podium, and said, My name is Lena Rivers. A ripple of murmurs ran through the crowd. But no one laughed. No one shouted. Instead, silence stretched listening, waiting. Lena read the poem Sophie had convinced her to write, a piece about reflections, about shadows, about finding the courage to step through the glass. When she finished, the room erupted in applause. Back home, the box rattled once, then clicked open. Another parchment slid free. Lena unfolded it with trembling hands. One shadow remains. To bury Danny, you must face him. Her breath caught. Sophie frowned. Face him? How? Danny's gone. But deep inside, Lena knew what the box meant. Danny wasn't gone. Not completely. He was still inside her, waiting. And soon, the box would force her to confront him directly. That night, Lena barely slept. The box's latest message echoed in her mind. One shadow remains. To bury Danny, you must face him. By dawn, the air in the apartment was heavy charged. The puzzle box sat silent on the nightstand, but Lena could feel its presence thrumming in her bones. When she dragged herself into the bathroom, the mirror was waiting. At first, It showed her the woman she was becoming. But as she leaned closer, the glass rippled. And there he was. Danny. Not a memory, not a flicker him. Staring back with the same weary eyes she once carried. Danny's lips moved in sync with hers at first, a mockery of control. But then he spoke independently, his voice deep, heavy, and bitter. You think you can erase me? You think you can just replace me? Lena's chest tightened. You're not real anymore. You're just a shadow. Danny's glare sharpened. I'm the one who survived schoolyard taunts. Who kept mom's approval. Who lived the life you were too afraid to claim. Without me, you wouldn't even exist. Tears burned Lena's eyes, but she stood firm. Without you, I would have lived free. I wouldn't have spent years suffocating. You're not protection, you're a cage. The mirror shimmered violently, cracks spiderwebbing across its surface. Sophie, drawn by Lena's shouting, burst into the bathroom. She froze when she saw the cracked mirror, her cousin arguing with a reflection that wasn't hers. Lena, what's happening? Lena pointed at the glass. It's him. The box wants me to fight him. Sophie stepped closer, eyes narrowing. Then fight. You've already proven who you are. Don't let him take that back. Danny sneered from the glass. You'll never be enough. You'll always be pretending. Lena's fists clenched. Her body trembled, but then steadied. She pressed her palm to the mirror. I am not pretending, she whispered. I am Lena. And I always have been. The cracks spread like lightning, shattering the reflection of Danny into 1,000 shards. His voice dissolved into a fading echo. When the glass cleared, only Lena remained, smiling faintly through tears. Behind her, the puzzle box rattled once, then split down the middle. Its glow flared so bright it filled the room, then faded completely. The pieces lay still, lifeless wood and silent gears. Sophie picked one up, frowning. Is it over? Lena stared at her reflection, touching her cheek. For the first time, there was no flicker of Danny. No shadow. Just her. She nodded slowly. Yes, it's over. But deep in her heart, Lena knew the box hadn't just ended her journey. It had started something larger. A life she would now have to live, not as a shadow, not as a reflection, but as herself. For the first time since she'd touched the puzzle box, Lena woke up to silence. No rattling, no glowing symbols, no cryptic messages waiting on slips of parchment. Just the hum of the fridge and sunlight pouring through her blinds. The box lay in pieces on the dresser. Sophie had suggested throwing it away, but Lena had refused. It wasn't just wood and gears, it was proof of everything she'd survived. Proof that Danny was gone, and Lena had taken her rightful place. But as much as she longed to believe the trials were over, she knew the hardest ones hadn't even begun. At breakfast, Sophie pushed a stack of papers toward her. You know what this is? Lena blinked at the forms. Taxes. Sophie rolled her eyes. Name change. Legal. If you're serious about living as Lena, this is how you bury Danny for good. The words hit harder than she expected. Filling out those lines meant more than adopting a name. It meant cutting away the last traces of Danny's paper trail, every ID, every record, every piece of official proof he'd ever existed. Her hands trembled as she picked up the pen. But for the first time, she didn't feel paralyzed. She felt ready. Later, Sophie dragged her out for coffee again, insisting she deserved a reward for finishing the forms. Lena walked in without the shield of her hoodie this time, her hair loose around her shoulders. The barista, same girl with pink hair from before, beamed. Hey Lena, right? Latte again. Lena's breath caught. The barista remembered. No hesitation. No shadow. Just Lena. She smiled, warmth swelling in her chest. Yes, a latte. For Lena. When the cup came back, her name written across it in bold marker, she didn't just feel seen, she felt real. But that night, when Lena caught her reflection in the window before bed, she froze. No Danny, no shadow. Just her. And yet, her chest tightened. What if the world still remembers him? What if the box was only the beginning? The thought lingered long after she turned away. Sophie, noticing her unease, said quietly, the box gave you Lena. But living as Lena? That's on you now. No puzzles. No magic. Just choice. Lena nodded slowly, realizing the truth. The box was gone. But the journey wasn't. The next morning, Lena slipped the puzzle box's broken pieces into a drawer. Not to hide them, but to honor them. Then she pulled on her jacket, checked her reflection one last time, and whispered, "You're Lena. Always." And with that, she stepped out into a world that still held Danny's echoes, but also, finally, space for her to become everything she was meant to be. Lena woke up on Monday to the sound of her alarm, not the hum of the puzzle box. It was strange, almost too ordinary. For weeks, her life had revolved around riddles, inscriptions, and shimmering mirrors. Now, the silence was deafening. Sophie texted her before she left for class. "Remember, no more box. You're steering now. Proud of you." Lena stared at the screen, nerves twisting. The world outside hadn't changed just because she had. Without the box's guidance, would she hold up or crumble? Her bookstore job had ended months before, when Danny had quietly faded out of the schedule. Now Lena needed work again, and Sophie had found a cafe looking for new hires. She stood outside the shop, resume in hand, heart pounding. Every instinct screamed at her to run. What if they ask for ID? What if they recognize Danny in me? What if I'm not enough without the magic? But she pushed the door open anyway. The manager, a cheerful woman named Clara, interviewed her right there at a corner table. "You've got great experience," Clara said, skimming her resume. "And we could really use someone reliable. Just one thing, what's your preferred name for the schedule?" Lena's throat tightened. This was it. No glowing inscriptions. No shimmering mirrors. Just her. She took a deep breath. Lena Rivers. Clara smiled, scribbling it down without hesitation. "Welcome aboard, Lena. You can start next week." Relief crashed over her like a wave.